Another What If episode, another fun discussion to consider. And if you enjoy these types of episodes, do consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and hitting that notification bell for future content. In the Digimon trading card game, tokens are a rare thing to ever see. At this time, there is only one type of Digimon that is generated as a token, and that is Diaboromon. While tokens can be useful in the form of blocking or in general wide board building, tokens have other uses in other card games. Coming from Yu-Gi-Oh!, tokens can be used as tribute fodder or even placing them on your opponent's board to disrupt their space. But what if for the Digimon trading card game there were Digimon cards that could place tokens on your opponent's board? Tokens in general could be a great way to balance a card that could potentially be really cheap to play, digivolve into, or have a really good effect. But how would this affect other cards in the trading card game in general? And what interactions could we possibly see? In general, I think it might be interesting to throw tokens on your opponent's board. The caveat, they can't attack, they can't block. But you can suspend them to gain 1 extra memory. Or, if they are able to attack or block, they can only attack other Digimon or block when your other Digimon is attacked. Either way, the conditional caveat felt a little annoying, so I just made them extra memory gainers. Bandai has designed the game at this point that there are floodgate preventers, for all colors, for the most part. Sorry red and yellow, I know you'll get your floodgate card someday. But in that regard, say you're playing blue and you play a card that generates tokens on your opponent's side of the battlefield that can gain them 1 memory. But you end your turn by slapping a Madoki-Betamon on the battlefield. Suddenly the advantage that you gave them does nothing unless they can remove that Madoki-Betamon. But the overall discussion of this that you may be asking is, why am I so fixated on creating tokens for my opponent? In the Digimon trading card game, there already exists several cards that have very powerful effects. But in some cases, the effect is only powerful if your opponent has a wide board. But after game 1, your opponent might be hesitant building that wide board, and instead, build 1 body at a time and leave at most, maybe 1 extra body on the board. In the present Digimon trading card game, when you see your opponent playing specific Tamers, what do? When TK and Kari make an appearance for yellow, do you still continue swinging into security, or do you casually wait for them to swing and chip you 1 at a time before you follow suit? With Izzy and Joe, do you simply keep your board to a minimum to deny your opponent that extra memory for having 2 or more Digimon? Even Sora and Joe has a built-in ability to strip your opponent's Digimon of its evolution sources, so you can gain 2 memory the next turn unless your opponent forces the Digivolution. These are 3 Tamers that make it difficult for your opponent to really get aggressive when playing against you. But when it comes to the other combo Tamers, Tai and Matt Ishida, you rarely see this card being played these days before in the hybrid meta of BT7, because there weren't a lot of people playing level 6s and instead chipping with their hybrids. With Sora and Mimi, this is arguably one of the least played combo Tamers for the fact that the condition can be easily negated by just slapping a level 3 on the board. And Mimi and Izzy for the fact that your opponent needs a suspended Digimon, which, unless you have Digimon with suspension effects through the end of their turn like Puppetmon or Mega Gargomon, you really don't gain the value. Sure, your opponent can swing in, but if their Digimon gets deleted, there's still no value. But besides these combo Tamers and their powerful effects, I'm mainly looking at Digimon that could use the extra oomph when played or digivolved into. I'm referring to the Sovereign Digimon. Now, while Baihumon isn't out yet because we don't get BT9 for a bit, these token generator cards would give some support to your opponent, but later, you can utilize that extra support that you gave them to your advantage. With Azulongmon, because these tokens are white and not level related, your opponent can't digivolve with them, which means you'll get extra security checks and gain extra memory. With Juchaomon, the tokens get deleted assuming your opponent doesn't want to keep them, and instead keep a different card on their side instead. And again, you'll gain extra memory and security checks. With Ibanwumon, you can suspend 1 and force your opponent to give up cards if they want to unsuspend the token. But again, you'll gain at minimum 1 memory already with his effect. In general, these powerful cards are only powerful if your opponent has a lot of Digimon on the field. In the BT7 format, Blue Hybrid utilized Azulongmon as a 1-tech copy in order to counter wider building boards, for the more aggressive play. Juchaomon similarly can do the same thing. But with the presence of memory blockers, their memory gaining effects won't proc, and if you didn't have 5 memory to play them, it's simply your opponent's turn, and the extra effect in some cases won't come into play. At this point, I would say a white card in the form of Platinum Numemon as a rainbow card might be interesting to have. Being one of the best Digimon to grind experience in Cyber Sleuth, this Digimon could have a cheap on-play cost that puts 2 Platinum Sludge tokens on your opponent's battlefield. You can suspend Platinum Numemon to gain 2 memory, but this makes him vulnerable to attacks next turn. What are your thoughts on giving tokens to your opponent that could be suspended to gain 1 memory? Do you think this is an indication of power creep, or simply a silly concept? Let me know in the comments below. As always, this is Digi-Panda, logging out.